want to make this application better, who are unsatisfied with what you have, I updated my example. We can see that this application has login feature. When I log in, you see that the prompt changes the name. You guys see that? As well as indicates to the user that the user is currently signed in. I didn't see a single group have a sign-in feature. We can do this. You do? You talking about this one, Dai? Where's the sign-in feature? I just looked at it. Where is it? You have one I can send? All right, we'll see. It doesn't work. I tried it. I tried every single person's. I don't think a single group has a sign-in feature. Do you, Juan? Or Qua? Do you?
It's kind of like sign-in. Every time you reload, it's like put in your username. Every time.
Okay, I get that. That's a step. That's a step, but it doesn't work. That's not expected. If I type in primetime trend, what do I expect to see? I expect to see the name right here change. I need to see that change. Right, but that's not the only problem. A second problem is I typed in primetime trend, right? I say hi all. Why does it say variant here? That makes absolutely no sense. I'm signed in as primetime trend. I should not be typing under someone else's name. That's okay, it looks beautiful, guys. I know that this is the first to-do app that you guys have done. It's hard. Okay, it's not easy to do these, and it takes a lot of thinking. You guys can imagine, like, if you guys had to change many different elements here, this would get really, really difficult very quickly. Okay? So in this application, I want you guys to look at this code. By the end of this course, I want you guys to be able to look at this code right here and easily determine what's going on by poking around. So let's just test real quick. Let's say, hello class. Today is Monday and we're learning React. If I tweet, it saves. Notice that I have a delete button as well as a retweet and a like. If I click like and I click like again, should it go up to 2? No. It should unlike, correct? And it did unlike. So let's go ahead and sign out. Let's say I'm Boom Boom Ray. Okay, now my prompt changes to Boom Boom Ray. That's kind of neat, as well as this one right here. And notice that Ray cannot delete someone else's post. That seems logical, right? Someone should not be able to delete someone else's post. And this is all written in JavaScript. We didn't do anything fancy here. We haven't even used the framework. And I want to see this behavior from your guys' applications before this class is done. I know there's a lot of other work to do. We give you guys a lot of material. But like I would say like this is the basics right here. Like the basics to prove that like for real we know what we're doing. Because we haven't even started talking about complex frameworks yet. Complex frameworks will help us out in many situations, right? But we still need to have a foundation before we can really get to know those well. And we're going to demo that in here in just a moment. But right now, I just want you guys to know what my expectations are. I want every person's project, you guys to be able to sign in. Okay? Let me demonstrate this one more time because I felt like maybe this was unclear. If we open up our developer tools, right? We can look in application, local storage, and then we can see our URL right here. And every single website that we go to, this will change. We go to facebook.com. Facebook.com. I look at the developer tools. I look at just local storage. I can see that Facebook also stores data on our computer. This is Facebook right here. Google is also storing data on our computer. This is a common pattern, guys. We need to be able to store data on our user's computer. How can we do this, guys? We need to call our local storage function. We can see that we do have an object called local storage. And if we inspect this object, we can see that there are many, many different things that are defined on it. What does this look like, guys? What's that F say to you? It's a function. On this local storage object, we have a function called setItem. And this takes arguments right here. etc. Its name is called set item. So what if I wanted to say local? What if I wanted to set an item? Just any data, right? Let's just say local storage dot set item a test cookie. And we'll say the value is some encrypted hash. If I do this and I hit enter, what should I see? If I do local storage dot set item, what should I see? There should be a key added to this right here. Right now we have exactly one key. Okay, it's called session. Let's go ahead and do this. So we hit enter. We don't see a complaint from our console. We hop back over to application. We can see that we did in fact store a cookie on our user session. This is storing some data. And obviously, this is a very simplified case. We're storing one string, and this string just has a bunch of random characters. But the vast majority of times, guys, we're gonna be storing objects in here. So, when we go to a website and we refresh, the user updates some data, you'll notice that our data here stays. Okay? I notice on this one we do not have this behavior. Tweet, I see a tweet right here. If I refresh, what's going on? Prime time tran. Oh, it is here. Okay. So you did store the current users. The current user will only get their own posts, their own tweets. Yeah. Okay, my bad. I jumped to conclusions, guys. My bad. Okay, I'm sorry. This one does use local storage, but I want all you guys to be able to do this because this concept is bigger than the web. This is also on mobile applications. We store data on the user's phones. That's why Facebook loads very quickly when you guys open up Facebook, because every single time you turn on the application, Facebook makes a request for some data and it stores it on your phone. Every single one of you guys, if you opened up Facebook right now, got some posts, turned off your Wi-Fi, turned off Facebook, open it again, you will still have those posts on your Facebook app because they store some data on your phone. This is an essential, this is super important to know how to do this, because this is how you're going to make your page load faster. This is how you're not going to have really bad errors with with an API request that fails and you just don't show anything on the screen. This is for user experience, guys. Okay? So now I gave you guys the code. You guys can test. So one more time, we'll just have a second ago, who liked this? You. I liked it. Primetime Trend liked it. But Boom Boom Ray hasn't liked it yet. So if Ray clicks like, it should go up to 2. And if he clicks unlike, or if he clicks like again, it should go back down to 1. Okay? We'll have a retweet, say hello world, and we can see that we have Ray's retweet down here. Okay? So let's sign out. Let's just test it one more time, okay? I'm going to sign in as Phil. I can see that the prompt changes to Phil. I say hello guys. I'm in class early today. I hit enter. Oops, that didn't work. I hit tab, then enter. And we can see that Phil can delete his own posts, but he cannot delete other people's posts. Okay? Say again? I want it to be like comment. I want you guys to have fun. This made most sense to me. I really don't understand Twitter. I haven't used it that much. I would have asked you guys to clone Facebook. It had been for me. But I got to do what people tell me to do sometimes. And we wanted to clone Twitter. I think this retweet, comment, you're right. This is more of a comment. But I think this makes most sense to me in terms of user experience. So if I'm building a company, it's my company, this is what I'm doing. Okay? And you guys, until you guys pay me more money, I'm doing what I want to do. And you guys are going to be in that position one day. Very soon. You guys are going to decide what you guys want to build. Okay? Because you guys are going to be so valuable that you guys are going to say something, and your boss is going to say, man, fuck, I don't like what Phil has to say. You know, but he's so fucking pro. God damn it, I got to fucking keep him happy. All right, let's just let him do whatever the hell he wants to do. That's going to happen to you guys once you guys get a little bit better. Okay? People are going to be like, fuck, this guy's really tough. And I don't agree with him, but he's so good at what he does, I have to keep him around. All right, enough of that. You guys have the code. Okay, let's continue on the lecture. Oops. I go the wrong way. Good work, by the way, guys. All your, you guys did one skill. I saw that every single group did something I really liked. You guys used the template. Okay, that is a very good skill. Don't kid yourself. Using a template is a-okay. Okay, I would, like I've said this before and I'll say it again. I would much rather you guys use a template and get done fast and beautifully than do it all from scratch. Everyone thinks that a lot of people think that building something from scratch is so cool, so skillful, blah blah blah. To me, it just shows that you know how to waste time because there's a lot of other things that we could be doing, right? Using templates is a-okay. But the thing is, in order to use them correctly, we do need to have some skill with CSS and Bootstrap and HTML. So I hope by taking apart these themes and poking around what some pro developers did over, with 10, 15 years experience or however long, that you guys learned something. Who here learned something by using a theme? Anyone? You guys learned something? Right? You guys saw some techniques that they use, right?
That wasn't the copy paste series.
Copy-driven development is a real thing. That's a real thing, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and get forward. Get on. V. Start on React, man. Start on React. What are you working on over there? You working on a Twitter clone, man?
Yeah, pushing the two React brands.
Okay, don't worry about that. We'll do that in a little bit. Okay, let's focus on React. React right here, guys. If you guys can choose one skill to know how to do in this class, I recommend you choose React. Okay? If there's anything in this class you guys learn, this one skill, React, it can get you a job. I promise you. I promise you. You don't need to do anything else. Don't worry about the API. Don't worry about deployment. Don't worry about scalability. Don't worry about all that shit. Let someone else do that. You worry about just React. Make it look beautiful. Okay? That's a really hard thing to do. So that's why we're going to be talking about this for 2 weeks. And today we're getting started. So we've already done a little bit of presentations. Let's actually spend a couple minutes. I want you guys to talk amongst yourselves in the agile mindset, because this is something we need to do on a regular basis. We need to talk to all our team members. We got to say, hey, product owner, hey, CEO, we really wanted to do this, but we were blocked by some technical problem, and we discovered that this issue was much bigger than we thought, and we needed more resources, blah, blah, blah. So let's go ahead and get together. Do you guys remember how to do a sprint retrospective, right? Get together in your teams and talk about what your project is. Okay, we're going to talk about stories. Did you guys meet your expectations on what you guys could do on the project? How many teams do we have? 3 teams, right? 4? 1, 2, 3. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. Vin, Ann, and V, you guys were together on one project?
Yeah.
It's just you and V?
Yes.
Okay, so can you guys get together and just talk? We'll spend 5 minutes talking about the project, going through who's the product owner. Did you guys choose those roles?
We swap role and
You figure it out. CoderSchool.
So the reality is that guys, and when you work at a company, it's almost expected that you guys know many skills. Even though you're a developer, right? Even though you guys are focusing on being a developer, if someone says like, hey, we need to build this feature, your boss is going to expect that you guys also have a voice. You gotta think about the end user. You're supposed to say, okay, yeah, it'd be really nice if the end user had that. But me, as an end user, I don't think that that's important. Because when I'm looking at VSARed.com, I'm looking at bus tickets, okay? I'm interested in buying a bus ticket. I'm not interested in dog grooming. So I don't think we should have a feature over here that advertises dog grooming. So your boss is going to like it when even though your job is not product owner, you as a developer can say, yes, I understand the product owner said this, but this is what I think is better. And the idea here, right, is to come together and brainstorm on what to do, right? Brainstorm what to do and how to do it better, right? Because I know each group here has problems. Code merging, that's a problem. Right? You guys gotta put your heads together and think about the best way to do Git flow. Every company does this differently. I can't advise you guys on the best way to do Git, because every single company that I've worked at does their Git flow a little bit differently. Okay? So there's no single solution to this problem, right? Of how you manage code. Yeah, start right now. Go. 5 minutes, guys. Just think about the project. You guys have to find that amount of time.
I think the first one thing that we could have done a little bit better is I know all of us wanted to work on like practicing JavaScript and some of us, right? So I think that could have communicated a little bit, but it's hard because
We're not at that level to work on one function.
exactly. And I think that's why it was so important for us to work together because we're still. I'm not proficient with like branching, so.
The idea is there, it's like, we gotta get to the level.
I don't know.
We just, right now, that's all. I mean, it's something that we learn.
Well, they like to
go about.
It depends how you want to do it. On Twitter, that's how they do it. Yeah.
I've used it, I won't.
It was my first time last week as well. But I think that's one thing that I probably could have worked. But I'm just trying to imagine how to distribute, and I felt like that was the best way.
Working at it.
Yeah.
I also love the part about it better. Many functions, thinking about each function, you know, using this tough, so like having people on one function, part of it. That's easy. And then there's also the way you generate. That should like go over here.
Yeah, that's all right.
Like stuff like that.
Yeah, that's okay.
And this should also have the same.
Who's product owner here?
Like, yeah, overall, yeah.
Are you happy about it? Are you happy with the project?
Yeah, but
Not really, huh? What's the company, what's the team bill on?
but like, not really.
Because I didn't like
focusing on
they
that.
are
Like,
why
it
should
should
do
be
this?
like, yeah, it should be like,
all night,
it's not like, and say, but like,
Without relate,
Are you,
on Sunday after. So
I guess works like that.
I finished like at 2 or 3 and so I didn't do my job well. And I'm also a Scrum Master, so as a Scrum Master I thought of a lot of things. But when I merged to Master, everything just when I merged to Master, it works on my side when the developers go into the local computer, it doesn't
You need like the product.
match with the one Master, so
Stuff like that.
basically I have to like use things and it becomes like redundant and
But it's also,
that's not good. I need
it's
to
also based on.
for example, if I change the email, I must use master, then make sure that I change the show and I have to change it again.
How do you
And so I did like
remember like you had
something
logo
for everything.
you didn't know.
And
They
then
changed it.
So as a product owner right now, this is where like whoever your boss is, why don't you ask me?
You just have to be sorry for success.
Like director, something like that, right? That's what we say, guys. Whoever that person is, really like somebody else are really specific, you know, our delivery all around slower than anticipated. We need more resources, or we need to hire more time. We need more time, or we need to hire a bigger team. This is a difficult conversation that we have, right? Because we talk about hiring people, we have to advertise, we have to vet, interview again, negotiate. So these are real problems that the real tech companies want to share our face. And right now you guys are sucking from the big names, right?
I
But
was trying to get us to.
you're gonna have to work hard.
I was trying to get us to be kind of like.
Until you guys get enough money to pay everyone else in the room, you guys are gonna be working for someone else. So like this is.
Yeah, like try. We
More
had like.
exercises.
Someone on JS, right? All like in JS.
I make the features, and the rest is on my part. Try to make it like more beautiful, and I did a little bit. And they all like the nature of
Okay, good. So retrospective meaning, so it's like positive and negative. It's kind of the one-on-one, okay? Kind of like that. Alright, also that went well, and what's something that's better? Kind of like that.
That have to figure out what your cost is, what you guys running, what going back to the HTML that already sit. That is hard.
It was fun, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was fun.
I think we should all
It's
sit
better
on
than
that.
being complicated, but that's why it was fun.
I think we should all experience that because yesterday when I tried to transfer your code, it is simple, it's simple page. Back to the HTML. That really super period. So what I'm saying is like, you guys should try to templates and try to transfer here to another input in the.
Yeah, like just to try it out.
Yeah, that'd be good practice.
These are some of the ideas. These are some of the most important things you're supposed to talk about, guys. What went good? What went bad? What could be done better? And what was done best? These are also things. Every retrospective is done differently.
Yeah.
That one good.
The most part is functional. There's a lot of tweaks that could be made.
All right, guys, let's move forward. Can you guys all open up a notepad on your computer, okay? Open up a notepad or something to write on and answer these questions to yourselves, okay? Do 1 through 5. Reflection is very important, guys. We got to understand ourselves. Just one sentence for each one, guys. Type one sentence. It doesn't have to be, I don't want you guys to write an essay. Right. Open up the note and answer these to yourself.
I am.
But type it out, man. Type it
I
out.
want to type it out.
I want you to type it out. I need you to be good with your keyboard. I want you to treat your keyboard like your girlfriend. Be gentle. Be firm.
Yes, sir.
Why does it work? I remember I told you to fix that, didn't I? This is advanced language skills, okay? You guys aren't going to learn all the advanced features of JavaScript in 2 weeks, guys. It takes years. And you doing this? Can you type it out, please? I think it'd be good for you. Type it out so you can look at this later. Let me know when you guys are done. Raise your hands when you're done. Have you written anything down, man? Just one sentence. Okay, I hope by working on this exercise, you guys have had time to reflect on what it means to work at a tech company. We're going to be working with different teammates. Certain teammates are going to be good at certain things, and the same teammate will be horrible at others. This is something we really have to deal with, and we still have to figure out how to work with people. And also, I think it's good that you guys just learn about yourselves, know what you're good at, what you're weak at, where you need to improve, and focus in order to get to where you guys want to go. Okay, so why was this project important, guys? Why did we have to build a Twitter app using vanilla JavaScript if Lloyd wants you to learn React? And React is the hottest framework in the world. Because the things that we learn building this app are present in all applications, okay? There are going to be buttons that need to change. There are going to be texts that need to change. There are going to be prompts to the users that needs to change. There's going to be the same types of elements rendered all over the screen, multiple times, very similar elements. What do I mean by that? This tweet, this is an element. It's exactly like the tweet below it, except depending on the state, its own state or the application state, it should be a little bit different. So the tweet should know by itself how it should render. And that's what we mean, that's what we need to do when we use React. The application was kind of complicated. It's actually not that complicated in reality, but it's complicated enough for you guys to see how difficult JavaScript can be to work with, and the way that people used to do it. What we did on Twitter app is how people built web applications in 10 years ago maybe. When Facebook first came out, that's probably how they built it. But then Facebook had so many problems that they're like, screw this, let's create a whole new way of building applications. And that's why they came out with React. We're going to talk about what is React exactly. It's what we call a JavaScript framework, okay? A framework is just a collection of code that we get from somewhere else. We can either get them from a CDN, right? We copy it to the top of our script file, or later on we're going to use package managers. We're going to use something called NPM, Node Package Manager. We're just going to download copies of this code, and we're going to store it on our computer so we don't have to go to the internet and get it every single time. There are many, many, many JavaScript frameworks, okay? The four most popular are probably these ones right here: Angular, Vue, Ember, and React. But if we look at these statistics from NPM, we can see which framework is the most popular, okay? So we hover over here, we can see that Angular is in red, blue is React, green is Angular Core, and orange is Vue. So which one do we see the most popularity here, guys?
Yeah, why?
I think it's because, in my personal opinion, because it seems like it's the most easiest to use. Yeah. Last Wednesday, right, the 23rd, 500,000 people across the world downloaded this package.
Last year.
Nope, look at the date. It's May 23rd. Okay, my bad. Hey, let's change this. That work? They don't let me search. Fuck. Anyway, the point is that React is very popular, okay, guys? Like I said earlier, but there's one thing I hope you guys learn here. It's React. You guys get good at React, man. And I get some money soon, I'll hire you guys.
Just based on this chart, what makes it dip? Like all these frameworks dip?
I'm not sure. Certain days, Sundays, for example, Sundays people don't go to work, right? So people are not downloading as much. So this is Saturday and Sunday, the dip is the weekends, right?
That's a God's day.
So very few people are working on projects on Saturdays and Sundays, but you guys will be doing that. Yeah, you guys will be doing this. You guys need to do this until you guys prove yourselves. And that's not to say that you guys suck, but everyone wants proof of concept. If you guys want to buy, if you guys could, if you guys are buying a banh mi or something, right? Don't you guys want to know that the person knows what they're doing when they're making it before you pay them, right? Or building a nice car, don't you guys want to know that this car is like worth its money? So the people hiring you guys are going to be the same way. Anyway, amongst JavaScript frameworks, if you guys are interested, you have the stats right here. But just trust me, I've already done a lot of research on this for you guys, okay? There are a couple other ones that you guys may run into. I ran into Backbone. I ran into Backbone at a company before. I went and worked at a company and they used Backbone. So I had to play around with that for a little bit. React is by far the most popular, but they all have some things in common. These are the sites now using React. Facebook, Instagram, Airbnb, Netflix, WhatsApp. These are some of the biggest tech companies that build web applications in the world. Okay? And because these guys use it, they force a lot of other people to use it. And they train a lot of really highly skilled people to use it. Thus, a lot of people around the world have started knowing React. Because when you go to Facebook and you work there and you learn React, right? When you go somewhere else and you work and you say, I worked at Facebook, people are going to want to know what your skills are. And if they say that you think if you say that you think React is good, they're going to adopt it. So that's why React is very, very popular now. Okay, so here are the fundamental problems that React tries to solve for us. We can separate our logic. Or no. We can get our logic all together into something we call a component. If we look at the logic here for the Twitter app, right? This is the Twitter app that you guys can see right here. This is the one I just demoed for you guys, okay? This is the logic for that one. You guys can notice that on our left, we have our index.html, and on our right, we have our JavaScript. I know I said this a second ago, but whenever our applications get really big, this is almost impossible to maintain, okay? It's almost impossible to have this working because it's difficult to find the functions. It's difficult to understand. It's difficult to group the code. We have code right now that adds tweets and create tweets objects, and then we render certain tweets and we reset a tweet input, and then after that we render a delete button if the tweet is owned by the current user. This is all a bunch of separated logic. This logic has they do many different things, right? But so it's very hard to understand all the different parts going on. Imagine for the Twitter clone, right? Imagine if this one, right? We weren't only working on just the tweet. Imagine if we wanted to change the photos and change the following, Imagine if I hit view all right here, right? We'd have to have some more logic that says, hey, go get the other users and then add them to this component on the right. This is just a bunch of stuff. It just gets out of hand. Okay, state. You guys have heard me talk about state last week, okay? From now on, all the data your application has, we're going to think about it as state, okay? And specifically, we're going to call it application state. Our application has its own set of state, okay? What does that mean? Is the user currently signed in? If the user is signed in, I should show this. If they're not signed in, I should show sign-in form. Are there currently any tweets? If there are tweets, I should show them. If there aren't any tweets, we should not show anything. Okay? If the user is signed in, the user should see a prompt that indicates to them that they're signed in. Like right here. It says their username maybe. Another piece of state might be how many characters are left. This all is from state, and that's how we're going to define it from now on. Render is also much more efficient using React. To make a long story short, find element by ID is really, really slow. If we were to go to facebook.com and open up the elements tool, we'd see, I would estimate, thousands of different elements. And imagine if you call one function and it runs find element by ID 4 times, right? And you're searching through 10 different, like 10,000 different elements, right? Look how many times we did get element by ID here. This takes a long time. When we type in this JavaScript code, it starts off at the top and it goes individually into each individual node trying to find this element. And it has to go through all of them before it finds them. Lastly, we don't have to find element by ID or enter HTML anymore. It may not be clear to you why this can be problematic right now, but just trust me, this is a blessing, and this is a blessing. Okay, so our code right here, right? The last couple of days, last couple of weeks that we've been writing, it's kind of looked like on the left. Okay, it's called spaghetti code. Why is it called spaghetti code? Because one end of the logic starts here, and the other of it goes all the way down over here. And it's very difficult to imagine where that logic is and to have it all working together. Because each strand could indicate a different behavior. We're trying to go from spaghetti code to steak code. And steak code is just a solid piece where we can look at one file and understand every single moving part. That analogy is very vague, so we'll move forward. The main concepts today, okay, are components, JSX, props, and render. We're going to show that here in just a second, but there's 4 main components. Components are anything on a screen that logically fits together, right? Logically fits together or should understand some piece of state by itself, okay? It should understand a piece of state by itself. What does that mean? What can I... So this component right here, a tweet component, right? It does need to have some understanding of state, of our application state. Why does it need to know what the application state is?
Because if the user does something to it, it's going to change the state.
Really close. Really close. What it is that the tweet component needs to understand the application state, because if the application state current user is the exact same user as the tweets user, then we allow them to delete it.
What's the example? I'm sorry.
So for example, right, our application has state. We have a user can sign in. That's one piece of state. Just trust me when I tell you that's a piece of state, okay? If a user signs in, the state has changed. The user is currently signed in, right? And because the user is currently signed in, now we can do additional behavior, right? The user is signed in. Okay, primetime chain is signed in, right? Now this tweet also needs to understand the state of the application, because it needs to say, okay, I'm a tweet. I'm about to render to the screen. Here's some options. I have a body, I have a posted by, I have a created at, I can like, retweet, and lastly, delete. But the delete function should not work for every person. It should only work for the person who created the tweet. So first off, in order to get this delete button to work correctly, we need to know who the current user is. Because if we do not know who the current user is, we cannot render. We cannot compare and say, all right, this is the same user that created it, so I should show them a delete button. Does that make sense, guys? Sorry, I know this is very abstract. We're going to get into examples in just a second, okay? JSX. This is just like HTML, except not exactly. I've shown you guys JSX. I've shown you guys JSX in my work, okay? Hold on, okay, I'll show you a simple one. Here's some JSX right here, guys. What does this look like to you guys? This looks like HTML, right? We have an element. The element has a name. We have closing tags right here. We also have the same concept carried over from raw CSS. We have border colors, border widths. We also have what? We also have flex, align items, justify content. Okay? JSX is just like HTML, except the syntax is a little bit different. Okay? Just like HTML, except the syntax is a little bit different. Let me show you a simpler example. So if you guys look at the styling, right? How is this different than regular HTML right here? If I wanted to add margin left to an HTML element, what would I type? Just say that div right here, okay? Just say div. I want to add margin left to this div. What do I do? Style. I say something called the style attribute. I give it an equal and some parentheses. And I do margin dash left, colon, 10 pixels. Compare this line right here to the margin left over here on line 330, okay? So what's different? So you can see that on a component, basically on a React element, when we name the attribute, we don't stick it inside parentheses. What do these look like? Yeah. We stick it inside curly braces. And we did stick an object in this one. You're 100% right. It was an object that was our argument. This is an object right here. So right here is an object. So we basically name the attribute. This could be style. This could be width. This could be maximum width or maximum length. Doesn't matter. Every single element will have many, many, many attributes that we can work with, just like HTML. Okay? Do you know how, like, we had in HTML we had href, right? We had source, we had style, we had data, a bunch of them. It's almost impossible to remember them all. I would say it is impossible to remember them all. Anyway, so after instead of having the quotes right here, we use curly braces. Okay? We'll go back here. It's not that much different, okay? Okay, the next concept is props. Props is kind of like state. You guys are not going to know this right away. So just know that it's okay if you guys feel lost over the next 2 weeks, a little bit lost, because there are people who have been working together for like years who still cannot agree about what should go in state and what should go in props. But props is when we pass data from a parent to its child, okay? From a parent to its child. So what do I mean by that? In our Twitter application, the entire application you can imagine is the parent. And the parent knows who the current user is, but the parent also needs to tell the child who the current user is. Because remember, this tweet component right here, this tweet element, does need to know who the owner of this tweet is. But outside of that, you can just imagine outside of that is something that wraps it, something around it that holds this tweet. And that thing does know who the current user is. So in order for the parent to tell the child who the current user is, we do something called passing props. Props is short for properties, okay? And lastly is the render. This is something that you guys should be familiar with, the Canva game. You guys remember the Canvas game? Also, I tried to start going ahead and giving you guys React type functions. Render tweet item, render retweet, render tweets. Because render means once you're done messing with the data, please draw the UI again. Please draw it again so that the UI, so that the user can see what's going on. Because we're constantly needing to help our user. Our user needs to know that when they click this button, something works. You don't want to click a button and have nothing work. One thing I will say is every single React component has to have a render function. Okay? You cannot write a React component that does not have a render function. It is the only required function on a React component. Okay, guys? You guys with me? Okay, so now we can see that every page is made from components. We had a simplified example in Twitter, right? Let's go ahead and look at, where is this? Did I close it? I keep closing this. We want you guys to start thinking about your screens as components. Up here, this navigation is one component, right? Right here, this is maybe popularity or something like that. This is another component. Right here is a user summary. This is another component. The data that over here, this component needs, for example, this guy's from what, Stormwind? Stormwind? Does a tweet need to know anything about where the current user is from? No, right? We don't display that data anywhere. We don't need to know that. Tweet should be siloed off from user introduction, right? And that's one of the, once again, like we're gonna get into this later, and you guys will see examples. But just think of your screen as components, and that's what we're gonna. That's the easiest way to understand it. Is that all the logical pieces that fit together are components. We're gonna build components, custom components, and they're all gonna do certain things. Okay? And these components will have regular HTML in them. It's JSX, but it's just like HTML. So if we look at the basic, if you guys look at this one, I know this may be hard to see. This is the default React app that Facebook gives us. If we create a new React app, this is what we'll see. This thing up here, okay? We'll also see comments down here, and we can see a list of comments. These are 3 different components. We have an app component which contains 2 children, comment form and comment list. Okay? Guess what comment list is gonna do, guys? It's going to list a bunch of comments, exactly. What's comment form going to do? It's going to collect the data for a comment that we want to create. So you can imagine that a comment form component will have a bunch of different logic that is specific to it. Okay? I just went through that for you. This is the fundamental building block of a component. Okay, guys? It cannot get simpler than this. It cannot get simpler than this, okay? What is the one function that we see, guys? What is the one function a React component has to have? How can we tell that there's a function here? Correct. And an opening and closing curly brace. What's important about the render function is it needs to return exactly one thing. It cannot return siblings. So here, I'll show you what I mean. This one's actually a little bit confusing. So do you see right here, I have a div that is parent to this right here? Do you guys see that? Yeah, I can return a div that has many children in it, no problem. I can have 1,000 children in it. But I cannot do this. I cannot return 2 siblings. Does that make sense, guys? What is this right here? These 2 are nested at the exact same level. That makes them siblings. Right? But we cannot return 2 siblings from a render function. And we always have to return exactly one parent that can have many, many children in it. Okay? Sorry, that seems unclear. Watch what's gonna happen when I run.
Just cause, right?
You just can't. This is just a rule, yeah. I'm not sure why, but it always has to return exactly 1. Did it work? Did this work? Hold on. Oh, that ain't bug. Okay, so the application is failing now. It's not working. But now if I replace this, right? If I have a parent that has many children, can I run it then? Why is this not working? Come on, baby. Save it. Run it. My internet is not going well. Come on, refresh, you guys said? Okay, so this works. Let's look at our console log. Okay, you notice how this component right here has exactly one return item on line 30 through 36. If I hit run, everything renders okay here, guys. Everything looks okay, right? I look over here, I see my console log. If I try to return 2 parents or 2 siblings, what's going to happen? It's going to complain. I cannot do that. I have to have exactly one return element. And that element can have children, but I cannot return 2 siblings. Sorry, that's the last time I'm going to say that. Okay, so this is the basic. Guys, okay, so when we're talking about data types, guys, guess what? We're getting more complicated. If we're going to be technical, right here, what we're building is what? A class. Exactly, guys. So now we're moving in bigger than objects, okay? Objects are very, very, very useful. Classes are also very, very, very useful. And you know how I told you guys that we had many different types of functions, right? Specifically, this render function right here, because this render function belongs to a class, it's now technically known as a method. It's a method on a class. Okay, so certain things will have, certain classes, depending on what class it is, it will simply have, like certain methods on it are useful. That sounds really abstract now, but we'll see this in an example in a little bit. Okay, I already went over JSX for you guys. JSX is just a way of using HTML and JS together. Okay, it's just a lot of magic. But a really important thing to note about JSX, guys, is that unlike HTML and regular JavaScript, it's okay to add our JavaScript code inside of our HTML code. Because what do I mean by that? Do you see on our Twitter clone, right? So for example, on add tweet, right? We took this logic right here and put it in a different file over here. But the reality is we could have copied this and stuck it right here. That would have worked. But that would have been very difficult to read and understand. Okay? Imagine if you had this littered everywhere. Okay? And then our application is bigger than one file. Okay? This is almost impossible to read. We're talking about like, okay, the button's necessary in here, then now we can grab some data, and blah, 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 blah. Very difficult to understand. But inside of JSX, it is A-OK. Use JavaScript with your HTML. That is no problem. Because all the logic will be in one file, ideally. And you guys see this right here? This is destructuring. Okay, we're grabbing some state off of our component. With JSX, we can also interpolate code. It works just like on the internet. Except with interpolated code, we use curly braces right here. Do you guys see that? Constant name, Loy v tran, element is an H1 element, and we interpolated code. Instead of using backticks, we use curly braces right here. Okay? You guys see that? It's a little bit different, but it's the same principle. Okay? So once again, we're talking about props. Welcome is a React component, and it has a property to it. This property will be named. And when we get this property, we can print it to the screen. Okay, so today we're going to focus on props. Okay, we're going to figure out how a parent can tell its child what data it has. We'll talk about state a little bit later, because that one gets a little bit more complicated, but we're going to focus on props. Okay, so this one is just, this is showing how we pass data, okay? This is a welcome component, right, guys? This is the welcome component. We're passing it a property name, and the value is Loy, okay? Can someone help me pass it an additional property called job? And we'll say instructor. How would I do that, guys? Take a guess. Look at the syntax we have. There's one line of code right here. job equals, oops, quotations, instructor. Okay, excellent. Thank you, Phil. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. So we can see that when we call a component, when we want to render a component, all we gotta do is add it inside of some arrows, name the component, and then give it any props that we want. This is the design pattern, guys. We're gonna learn about design patterns. And once again, this is going back to render, okay? This is very important. This is so important, Charles even added a slide. We have to have a render component function, a render method on each React component. We have to. We're going to get a complaint if we don't do that. Okay? Oops. Okay, last slide, guys. We're going to talk about this later. We're going to talk about this more, guys. I know this is going to be really confusing for a while, okay? It's going to be very confusing for a while. So just know that you're not expected to be a master of React in the 2 weeks coming, okay? We guys are just going to get kind of a fuzzy picture, okay? We're going to get a fuzzy picture, and we're kind of going to get the direction to go. And I want you guys to self-study, okay? Self-study. We cannot teach you as much as the internet can. I really wish I could be better than Google, guys. I really want to. I want to know more than Google. I promise you that. But I don't know more than Google. So here are probably the 2 most important links, guys. I do want to know more than Google. Trust me. So here is our official documentation by Facebook. I really recommend you guys read through this. You don't need to read it like a book, okay? Don't read it like a book from beginning to end. Look at this documentation as a reference. You wanted to do something Lloyd asked. You Googled how to do that. You found something on Stack you didn't understand. Some guys kept talking about props and state. So when we go over to Facebook's documentation, just focus on props for today, or state for today, or the render function for today. There are many different moving parts, guys. It's really it takes time. Just want you guys to know that we're not expecting you guys to be pro. We just want you guys to have some understanding of how all these parts fit together. Okay. So here's our official Facebook React documentation, and here's the official Facebook React public repo. Okay. You see how many people have been working on this? Oops, did I do that right? Come on, man. Is the internet going slow for you guys or just me? What the fuck? Why is this going so slow? Ah! I'm scared the server's gonna fucking suck. No. Okay, guys, please. Does anyone's internet not work? Or is it just me? Okay. Okay. Sorry, guys. Sorry about that. Okay, guys. In this documentation that I shared, guys, you'll find so many amazing resources. Okay, so many amazing resources for everything, anything you need to know on this one. I encourage you guys to read through it one day when you guys are tired of listening to me. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and jump to example. Okay. Do you guys have access to this? It's right here. No, it's in right here. Right, I'm gonna get started on the lab. Oh yeah, my bad, I didn't post it. Cat lab today. Facebook official documentation. React Facebook documentation. React Facebook source code. So you guys go. Open up this JS Fiddle. I don't want you guys to play around with your environments today. We want to see the most important parts. We just want to play around a little bit with the React component, okay? All right, so guys, I'm about to start demoing right now, okay? So we're about to build a application that simply shows cats, okay? We're gonna call this the cat app. Okay, guys? Guys, look what I'm about to do, okay? Yes, questions?
They Actually, the app, the web app, is it the same with the app on Android or iOS, or the concept is the same on this one?
If you learn React, you can build mobile apps.
No, I mean, you do the web app right there. So why not the web or something?
Because apps can be, an app isn't just a mobile app. It's not just a web app. It's not just a desktop app. It's just any app. Application can be anything. It can be a desktop app. Think about Chrome. I download Chrome and I run it on my computer, right? I download QuickTime and I run it on my computer. A web app is like this, right? This is considered a web app. Facebook, because I can create data, I can delete data, I can save data, I can save my photos, etc. Right? But there are certain things called websites. This, for example, is a website. This is a simple website. Why? Because all it does is present data. I can't change data in any way on this website. Yeah. I just copied the theme, man. This is what I want you guys to do. I want you guys to copy themes. Okay? This is a website. All it does is present data. I can't create an account. I can't create friendships. I can't send messages. But this is not a web app. Or this is not a web app, yeah. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. So this is a website. So anyways, I want you guys to see the very bare minimum, okay? Okay? So guys, this is syntax I want you guys to use, okay? You guys can copy and paste this, okay? This is boilerplate code, except you might change cat app. Okay, so what's our cat app going to do? Let's pretend I want to render 3 different apps, or 3 different cats, okay? So we'll just say black cat. Boilerplate means it's just giving you for free. You're never expected to touch that. So let's say a black cat, a white cat, an orange cat. Okay, cats. Okay, guys, we want our app to just draw pictures of cats. Okay, guys. Okay. So how can we represent these cats? What would be a good technique, guys? Just throw it out there. Come on, let's think about the experience that we had from building these last couple apps. How could we best represent a cat? How could we store data about a cat? Yes? Yes? But let's think about the individual cats at first, okay? What's the best way to represent a data for a cat? I would say an object. So one thing I like doing when I start on any application, before I worry about really complicated this and that, where am I going to get the data, blah, 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 I like just fucking faking data. And this is actually something a lot of developers do. This is actually a type of development. You can fake data for a while so that we can understand what the fuck is going on. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and create some data. I'm going to say const cats equals an array. And I think the idea of having an object represent each cat is a great idea. Okay? So we'll call this one. We'll say one cat. I'm going to choose this cat as my cat because I like cats. I'm going to say the name. Name is, I don't know. What's the name for a cat? Bubbles? Bubbles? Okay. We'll say owner, Lloyd. And then we'll say pick URL. And we'll just copy this URL in here, okay? And now we're going to do the same thing twice, okay? Oops. For another cat. Except we need another name. What's a popular Vietnamese name for a cat?
Male.
Wow.
Mel. Is that a popular name? I don't know. That's just cat, right? What's the name for a cat?
Wow.
Fine. I'm just gonna make it up on as we go. I forgot to give it a color, guys. My bad. Color. Okay. I'm gonna say my color is the black cat. Is that right? My cat, the black cat. My cat is the white cat. I forgot, guys. My bad. My bad. Hey, guys. This is how the world is. Okay. Okay. So I have a white cat. Let's just say that. Let's say Qua has a cat, and his cat is called Mel. Okay. And what color is your cat? What color is your cat, Qua? Gray? Okay, gray cat. Okay, there you go. There goes a gray cat. I like this one. Okay, I'm gonna copy this image. We're just gonna mock this data, okay? Please work, okay? Okay, so now this is Qual's cat. Who else wants a cat? Okay, you want a cat. Phil also wants a cat. What color is your cat, Phil? Orange. Okay, orange cat. Come on, baby. We need some cats. I like this one, guys. Good job. Good choice, Phil. Good choice. Okay, so now we got Phil's cat. And our data about these cats is stored in an object. God, I hope this works. Okay, so like, guys, this is just our data, okay? Long term, this data is going to come from many different places. It can come from an API, it can come from a WebSocket, it can come from data messages. But let's just pretend we have the data, okay? So now, if we run the application, are we going to be okay, guys? Look at this class right here, this React component. I said something and I asked you guys if you understood earlier, okay? What are we missing here? Just look at lines 23 through 24. The render, we're missing our render method. Thank you, Phil. So we need to define that. And we define it like this, okay? All we do is write the function inside of the component. You see that? This is the component's length. It's from here to here. Or it's from the end of line 23 to line 27. That's the beginning curly brace, a closing curly brace. The render function has to return something. Okay, it has to return something. And it has to return exactly one element. So we're going to say H1. We'll say cat app. So if we click run, we can see on the right our application properly loaded cat app. Okay? Right? So this isn't that interesting. We need to make this application more dynamic. Okay? So in order to remember what we said a second ago about our JSX needs to return exactly one parent. So I'm going to wrap everything in a div just to do that. So now imagine we wanted to render the cat's names. Okay, let's just do the cat's names. How can we do that, guys? Help me out here. Say again. We can look at the list. How can I look at the first element? Let's just start small. I'm going to look at the first cats only. I need to use the index first, okay? So right now, we're just going to use a little bit of concatenation, okay? I know this is really hard to see, guys. I'm sorry. Okay, so this is concatenation. I could write regular JS code in here, okay? So I'm going to do cats 0 name. Does that work? Stick this in a p tag, okay? cat0.name. Let's run it. Okay, so we got bubbles. What if we want to do something else? Let's say we want to also look at the cat's owner. So do cats0.owner. Okay, let's run that bad boy. Okay, so say bubbles is owned by Loy. Bubbles is owned by Loy. Okay? So you guys can just see that inside of, God damn it, dude. I know this is really difficult to see. This is all one line. Okay, so we have the same type of nesting. A div has an H1 in it, and this H1 is a sibling to the parent. So this works, right? But it's not really that smart, guys. We can only render one cat at a time right now. So what if there was a way to loop over the entire length of an array? Yeah, we could do something like map. It's exactly what I want us to do. But in conjunction, right? Another problem that we have is this code right here. What is its responsibility? This code's responsibility is not to maintain our app. This code's responsibility's sole purpose is to simply render one cat. So this is where we could extract this code into something logical, uniform, and it has something to do with itself. And that's where components come in once again. our cat app component is the biggest component. It will have many children. But this will render many children, and we need to start building the littler components. So in order to do that, we're going to do class cat extends react.component, and then we'll do our render function. And then what do we need to do with our render function, guys? We need to return a div. We need to return exactly one of something. Okay. So now we'll add some additional logic. Okay, we'll just say this is the child, this is the cat component. Okay, so we can go ahead and delete all this right here, not all of it. Let's just go ahead and delete all this code that has to do with rendering a component. Okay, and remember, we want to render many cats. Okay, so we're gonna have. Okay, sorry about that, guys. So now this is where we need to get we can map over all of our cats. So we can do cats.map. Help me out, guys, here. Well, how can we get this to work correctly? Should be a function. What's its argument? No, well, it should be a function, right? This is the argument of a function. This is a function right here. The argument of this callback is the cat. You're right. But remember, this is a function inside of another function. Okay? The argument to the map is a function. This function will be called with another argument, which is the element in the array that we're mapping over, which would be a cat. The element will be a cat. Okay? So now we have this function. We also need to return from here. And from here, we're not going to write all the code for each individual cat. Okay, we're not going to do that logic that we had a second ago with the h1 and a div. No, because that becomes very difficult. Right now we only have one component rendering one other component, and already the code is getting complicated. So this can get way more difficult. So instead of just of writing all that code in here, we're just going to render the cat component that we defined right here. Where's cat coming from here, guys? On line 36. It's coming from cat right here. This is a component. We defined a component. Just think of it as defining a function. Okay, we defined a component just like we define functions. Okay? So let's run it. I expect that we should see this is a cat component. How many times, guys? 3 times. Because we're mapping over our array of cats, and then we're rendering a cat component for each iteration. So we run it. Is it save? Is it running? Run it. You have a syntax error somewhere?
You're still having on your message on Slack. Yeah. It's sent, but it's just we have Slack can send this message. Yeah.
Guys, fuck. Sorry, guys, we're having technical difficulties here. This internet is not cool, man. This looks good to me. Oh, there we go. Okay, it did work. It did in fact work, guys. Look. Guys, look how we have this is a cat component, this is a cat component, this is a cat component. We had that exactly 3 times because we mapped over our cat's array, which is 3 elements, right? And we returned this code right here from this component. So that isn't really that interesting yet. And it may not be evident to you guys why this is powerful, okay? But now we're going to add some magic, okay? We're going to add some magic. Now, in our component, we can have logic which pertains to only this component, depending on the properties it receives, okay? So I'm going to demonstrate to you. Guys, a second ago, you guys helped me build a cat object, okay? What are some of the things that we gave our cat object? We have a couple properties, guys. Name, owner, color, picture, right? So, how can we get that data that lives inside of cat into this component? A second ago, you guys helped me. Phil helped me. He helped me get a job. Yet we put an attribute here. So we could say color is equal to, and remember this is a little bit different than HTML, cat.color. Okay? So cat.color from this cat element will be passed to the cat component. I know this is really but just trust me, whatever color this cat has on line 35 will be given to this cat component. And I'm going to prove that to you. I'm going to do console.log. Here is the color prop. This.props.color. Okay? So I'm going to hit run. We're going to look at our console log. And we can see that we did in fact console log. White, gray, and orange. Right here. Because remember, on line 36, we're looking at an array. Guys, we're looking at an array. When we run the map function, we forget about the entire array. We just look at one object in the array, one element inside this array. Inside this element, we find an object. Inside this object, we have certain keys. Okay? These keys are name, color, owner, source URL, or image URL. And then after we discover this data from this cat, the color, right here, right? We pass it into color to the cat component. And the color, the name of the attribute does not matter. Actually, it does matter. There's certain keywords we cannot use, but we can call it whatever we want, okay? So I could say, let's just say a new property. If we do this and we run it, and then we look at our console log, we'll see that the color prop is now undefined. The property color is undefined. But guess what property this cat component now has? What's the name of the new property? A new property. That is the name of a new property. Exactly. That's the name of the property. Okay? So we change it, and we run it. Then we look over here. We can see that our color is in fact coming from a property called a new property. I know that's a bit confusing right now, guys. We will probably never do it this way. I just want you guys to know that we can call a property whatever we want. But it makes most sense to call it what it is. Okay? If it's a color, it's a color. We call it color. We don't call it anything else. Okay? So I'm going to say color right here. And then what else do we have? We have name. We say name here. And we say, let me clean this up a little bit. No. Name is, what's her name, guys? How can I get cat's name? Cat.name. Okay? One more. What's another one? Okay, cat.owner. Actually, there's one more. My bad, guys. One more. What's the last one? Is it called pick URL? Oh, I forgot. Pick URL. Okay, so we'll pass over our pick URL. Pick URL. This one is owner. This is pick URL. Okay, so now if we look at our cat component, instead of looking at a specific key, let's just look at all of our props. Okay, so let's just say cat component properties. Okay. This.props. Now if we run it, what do we expect to see? I expect to see 3 objects console logged. And these objects will have properties on them. Name, owner, pick URL, and color. So here we are. We can see that the cat component on line 23 through 30, when it rendered, it had a console log to it that it console logged its own component, or its own properties. What properties were passed to me? What properties were passed to me? And you guys can see that the first time this ran, the property that was sent to it was color white, name bubbles, owner Loy, and this is the pick URL. But the second time the component rendered, the cat component, what color did we have? Gray. That's exactly what we had. Guys, this code right here is sort of sloppy. This right here is sort of sloppy, guys. What's a way we could have made this better? We could have destructured the cat. Oops. We could have said, you know what? Actually, I don't really care about the cat. I care about its name, its color, its owner, its pick URL. So we can delete cat. We can destructure the object, name the keys we want. And then what we can do here? Shit. Then we can delete this. Okay? I just want to show you guys this because this is important. We're going to be doing this more often in the future. So let's make sure this works. And it seems like nothing's broken. Lastly, one more way to do this, okay? Is if we have an object and we want all the keys, we can also do something called the spread operator. I gave you guys a little bit of a taste of this earlier, okay? Inside of this right here, inside of the element or the component that, rendering, where we render it, we can just do cats, comma, props. Cat. We want to give it the cat. We also need to fix this right here because we're not destructuring yet. Okay, so we can say cat right here. Okay. So now, because this is a little bit cleaner, I know this is kind of complicated, guys. I'm showing you guys a lot of different syntax styles here. This is you guys are gonna run into this for real. Okay. Now, all of the properties of the cat object will be passed on to the cat component. Okay? And I'm going to prove this to you because remember, we're still console logging right here. Okay? We're console logging our pops. So we do run, look at our console.log, and we see the exact same thing. Right? The object cat right here, it had a couple keys. We wanted all of them. So to make this code cleaner, we just used the spread operator. We spread out all of the properties of this object into our cat component. Questions, guys? Okay, prove this one more time. And it looks like everything went okay. So now we can confirm that our cat application, it had some data, it had some cats, okay? And because we wanted to logically sort the code and organize our code, we decided to refactor out the rendering of a cat component into its own component. Or we wanted to refactor out the logic required to render a cat component to a separate component. Okay? So now we've seen a couple different ways on how we can send props. Now let's make our cat component a little bit more interesting, okay? So let's use some styling, okay? So let's just say H1. What can we do here, guys? We'll use some interpolation. We'll say this.props.name, and we'll run it just to make sure. And we can see that we have 3 cats: Bubbles, Mel, and we forgot to change the name. What's the name of your cat? Whose cat was the last one? Phil, what's the name of your cat, man? You gotta give me something better than this.
Cheshire.
What?
Cheshire.
Cheshire. I don't know how to spell this. Cheshire? Is that how you spell it?
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense. Whatever. So we have 3 cats rendered here. Okay? So now we've passed the props. We're rendering a component here. Okay? Now let's do something much more interesting, okay? So let's just say that we want to pass the behavior, a styling behavior from a component, right? So let's create a new div, and we'll say style equals color. This is taking an object, okay? The style, it's a little bit different, guys. It's a little bit different. It's gonna take practice, okay? You guys are gonna mess this up, okay? But in JSX, right, we don't use quotation marks here, right? And certain attributes can take objects as this argument, okay? So I'm gonna stick an object in here, okay? An object is inside of the style. Okay? Now I'm going to say background color. I'm going to say this.props.color. And let's add a couple more just to make sure we know how this works. Say width is 100 pixels. Height is 100. We save it and then we run it. And we can see that for every single object, do you guys see that? For every single object, we created something else. Like it looks differently depending on its properties. Do you guys see that? Raise your hand if you see that, guys. I feel like I'm talking too much here. Raise your hand if you see that.
See what?
Do you see here this cat component, right? Each time one render, I need to choose a different cat color. Okay, this one, red. Our cat application, inside of the application, we ran a function called render. The render gave us back one parent element. Inside this parent element, we had a bunch of children. What are these children, guys? They're cat components. How many do we have? We have 3. Our parent cat app told the cat component what its properties were. And we can confirm that the cat component understands what its properties are by looking at the right. Where did bubbles come from? Right here. Where did red come from? It came from here. It came from this array that we came up front. But specifically, the cat component, whenever the cat component rendered itself, the first time its property name was bubbles. The second time the cat component rendered itself, its property color was red. The first time the cat component rendered itself, the name was bubbles, the color was red. But the second iteration of the loop, guys, the second iteration of the loop on this map function, what was the cat?
Yeah.
Who was the owner of this cat? Qua was the owner, right? And the color was gray. So just like we looked at our people object in that homework assignment, we can use all types of conditional logic following this same pattern, okay? All types of interesting logic, okay? So let's do one more, okay? One more to prove this concept, okay, guys? So we'll add a little bit more of nested logic. We'll say, yes.
The background color, you say this dot color, so they can match in the string to the background color, right?
Correct.
So for example, I can if the next background color, if I want to I want to put another color, I have to put in the string.
Well, this that pops that color, right?
Uh-huh.
Where does that come from?
For example, can you make it all
The
black?
background color, instead of white, make it black. The background color of that.
Of this thing right here?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. So let's see, style equals.
No, I mean up there.
Up where?
Can I see the line 28?
Okay, what do you want to do with this?
Yeah. Can you make all of them black?
Yeah.
So you see this?
Yeah, okay. So if I do this, now they'll all be black cats, black right here.
So you put in the string.
I put this in the string because this .props.color, what data type is this, guys? This is one of the most elementary data types. We learned this week 1. It's a string data type. See, we can confirm this because remember, this cat right here is an object. That's data type object. And where's cat coming from? It's an element inside of an array called cats. So we jump all the way up to cats. We can see that inside of cats, we have a key called color. And what is the data type here? It's a string. So when this function, when this component renders and it has this.props.colors, this right here will become a string. Okay, so let's run it again. Fuck, I forgot what I was going to show you guys. I'm supposed to show you guys something.
You said you were going to add another thing.
Oh yeah. Conditional logic, guys. Guys, this is a very important concept, okay? Our components will behave differently depending on the properties, okay? Phil gave me a great analogy for this the other day, okay? We're cooking. Depending on what types of ingredients we have, we can make different things, okay? Does that make sense, guys? If I have rice, I cannot make pho, okay? If I have pho, I cannot make rice. I think. I don't know. No, I'm pretty sure. I think that's how that works. Okay. So forget about that. Let's just show one more piece of conditional, okay? One more piece of conditional right here, okay? So I'll say, okay, let's just say if this dot pops dot owner is equal to Loy, we'll say cat is unhappy. I don't know. I like puppies. Okay? Otherwise, if the owner is not Loy, we'll say cat is happy. Oh, my bad. Thank you for covering me. I want you guys doing this more often. Okay, so because the prop for the first cat, the owner was in fact equal to Loy, this cat is unhappy. And Mel, is the owner equal to Loy? No. So the cat is happy. And the same thing with this Cheshire cat. Does that make sense, guys?
Just real quick. So like, if you wanted to add like an extra conditional, like say next to Lloyd, you put or qua, it'll still run.
So this is not the best practice right now. I try to do this as simply as I can to understand. But this is not how I want you guys to do this, okay? Okay? This is how I want you to write code, okay? This is how at the very beginning of the render function, this is where we have our destructuring. I don't want to see this dot props everywhere. That's very bad. We say const right here, we destructure const, fuck me, const, name, owner, color. And where do we get this from? It does come from cats, but it comes from this dot pops. Okay? These are the properties that are passed to it, okay? Because think about this. This dot pops dot name, this dot pops dot owner, this pops dot color. So this dot pops dot name. This is the shorthand way of doing this. So now I want you to delete this right here. I want you guys to delete this. I don't like the syntax highlighting here, guys. I don't like this tool that much. Okay? Will this work, guys? Will this work? Let's try it. And it does in fact work the same, guys. You guys see that? I took off all of these keys off of this object of props, and we could use it one way here. And what you said a second ago, Phil, I also don't want you doing this. Okay? This is also very, very bad. What you're going to do, and I'm going to show you what this is the end goal here, right? Now I told you guys I want you guys to know how to write functions. A bunch of little itty bitty functions that do one thing. Okay? So we'll just write a new function. We'll call this render cat status. Okay? Say render cat status. This is a function. No, and specifically, this is a method. Okay? And we'll say right here, this will take a cat. No, this will take what? An owner as an argument, right? And then we'll say if what'd you say, Phil? What'd you say a second ago?
I said like put two.
Phil, if Phil or Loy, I forgot how to do this, guys. How do I look an array? How do I check an array for an element, guys? Include JS. Okay, here. The arrays first, we say includes, and then we give it the argument, okay? So now we'll say, okay, the array first, Loy Phil, let's just keep it simple, includes owner. If this is true, damn, yo, this is super hard to read. Is that right? Okay, if Phil and Loy are included in the owner, right? Are they found? We'll return unhappy cat. Unhappy cat. And otherwise, we'll return fuck. Unhappy cat. Otherwise, we'll return happy cat. Now, what do I want you guys to do here? This is a function we just assigned. What we just assigned. Instead of having this conditional logic inside of our structure logic, we'll just call that function, and we'll pass it the argument. We'll say this dot the name of the function. We'll call it, and then we'll pass it the argument. Okay. So I don't think I named this right. Yeah, so I spelled this wrong. So we call this function, and this function will do it. It will do something, okay? So now if we run it, we can see that this behavior worked exactly the same. It says unhappy cat, unhappy cat. Let's confirm. Let's actually say this.props.owner. Okay? So Loy has an unhappy cat. And so does Phil. But Qua has a happy cat. Okay? Do you have any questions so far, guys? Do you have any questions? Yes, Qua.
What's the triple dot inside the object? You know, yeah. What is it?
This is a spread operator. This is how we pass keys from one object to another. Because, guys, I know I've said this before and I'll say it again. Remember, our application needs to have some type of power, okay? And our power is going to be data. So the vast majority of times, guys, all our functions are just going to be passing data back and forth, like electricity going to a building. And our data can come from many places, just like electricity can come from many places, right? So destructuring is something that came up with ES6 because this is so often that people had to do cat.name, cat.color, cat. Blah, 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 blah. They wanted to figure out a way to do it shorter. So let me demonstrate this one more time, okay? Let's demonstrate how the spread operator works, okay? So let's say I have a object called person, okay? I'm going to do this in VS Code because it's a lot easier to see. Let's do it all the way down here. Let's just say we had a person. What are some attributes about a person? First name, Loy. Last name. Let's just do it. Is virgin. Is virgin. Gender. And we're going to give this default arguments, okay? I'm not putting any data in this yet because we don't want this to be about Loy. We're all born virgins. That seems like a logical default. We're all born virgins, okay? So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it. Is that what you just said? I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it. So now if we look at our person object, we can confirm that we have a variable called person object and it has first name, gender, is virgin. So what if I wanted to use this object to build other objects? So now we said let Loy equals object. Guys, please follow me here. You guys see this a lot. It's an object, right? I can do ... person. Okay? What is that going to do? Now that means that Loy has all the exact same keys as person. I just proved that to you. You guys see that? Because I didn't actually say Loy. I didn't say Loy has a first name and has a last name and is a virgin and gender. But these are sensible defaults. Okay? We're gonna get into this. We're gonna understand this principle later that there are sensible defaults from which all objects are built. Okay? You guys hear me? There are sensible defaults. Just like our Twitter app. Okay? Fuck me. CD Twitter. We experienced this kinda. Our application needs to have some default data, some tweets. It needs to have some default data, current user, right? And then when we create a new tweet item, it needs to have a sensible default on what a tweet item is. Okay? This is a sensible default. A tweet should have a body. It should have likes. It should have retweets. It should have created that date. And it should have a user that created it. This is a very basic example. Okay? We only have what? 5 keys? Right? How many different attributes about a person can we have? An almost infinite amount of data can be about a person, okay? So that is what the purpose of a spread operator is, okay? Think about Lloyd. Think about person. How did Lloyd get attributes from person? We did that by using the spread operator. I did it one time. So let's do it one more time. Let's say Phil, okay? Let Phil, we'll say he's a person. So he needs these same exact attributes as Lloyd. My bad. The spread operator needs exactly 3 dots. So now we look at Phil. Guess what? Phil also has a first name. And he also has a last name. And Phil's also a virgin. Okay? So this is, any other questions, guys? All right, I'm done with you guys. Get some lunch. We're gonna work on the cat lab this afternoon, okay? I want you guys to talk to each other.